Thank you, Anand Bihari Prabhu. So let's dive into Bhagavatam. So yeah, thank you very much for joining, dear devotees. We are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, the Samam Bonam, 47th chapter, the Song of the Bumblebee, and verses 27 to 29 is what we'll be covering today. So yeah, let's start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:47-27. सर्वात्मभावो धिक्कृतो भवतीनाम् अधोक्षजे विरहेण महाभागा महान् मे अनुग्रह कृतः. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: You have rightfully claimed the privilege of unalloyed love for the transcendental Lord, O most glorious gopis. Indeed, by exhibiting your love for Krishna in separation from him, you have shown me great mercy. Purport: The gopis showed not only Uddhava but the whole world the joy of love of Godhead, and thus they bestowed their mercy on everyone. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, because their loving devotion was executed in an appropriate way, their love brought the Supreme Lord under their control. Still, to show the intensity of their love, he apparently left them. But now he again manifested himself among them, becoming spiritually present through their intense devotion. Text 28. Shruyatam priya sandesho bhavatinam sukhavahah yam adaya gato bhadra aham bhartu rahaskarah. My good ladies, now please hear your beloved's message, which I, the confidential servant of my master, have come here to bring you. Text 29. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Bhavatinam Viyogo me Nahi Sarvatmana Kvachit Yatha Bhutani Bhuteshu Kham Vaiv Agnir Jalam Mahi Tathaham Chamanha Prana Bhutendriya Gunashrayah. Translation: The Supreme Lord said, You are never actually separated from me, for I am the soul of all creation. Just as the elements of nature, ether, air, fire, water, and earth, are present in every created thing, so I am present within everyone's mind, life air, and senses, and also within the physical elements and the modes of material nature. Purport: According to Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, the apparent philosophical language of the Lord's statement conceals a deeper meaning. The Supreme Lord was secretly telling the gopis that he, by way of reciprocating their special love for him, was present with them, not only as the soul of all creation, but also as their special lover. In this sense of the verse, the word guna indicates the gopis' special divine qualities, which attracted Sri Krishna, and the word sarvatmana, which we have here translated in reference to Lord Krishna himself, corresponding to the word me, which is also in the instrumental case, is also understood in the sense of sarvatha or completely. In other words, although in one sense Lord Krishna was absent, he could never be completely absent, since in his spiritual form he is always in the hearts and minds of the gopis. In Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and other books, Srila Prabhupada has elaborately explained that the reason Lord Krishna separated himself from the gopis was to intensify their love for him, and as Uddhava noted, to bless other devotees by revealing to them the intensity of the gopis' love. In fact, the Lord was spiritually present with the gopis since they are his eternal associates. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti further points out that foolish persons will conclude that Sri Krishna's use of philosophical language meant that the Lord was trying to bring the gopis to the point of liberation by explaining basic points of Krishna conscious philosophy. In truth, the gopis are the most exalted liberated souls, and their pastimes with Sri Krishna must be understood with the help of authorized acharyas. When the gopis came for the rasa dance, Sri Krishna tried to preach karma yoga to them, emphasizing ordinary ethics and morality. But the gopis were beyond that. Similarly, Lord Krishna now offers them Jnana Yoga or metaphysical philosophy. But this is also inadequate for the gopis who have achieved spontaneous, unalloyed love for Sri Krishna. ओमज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमा ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनामिने गौरत्विषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्रीराधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणम्. So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, I would like to echo the statements made by Adipurush Prabhu in the beginning of the class, where he sought the blessings of the Vaishnavas so that we can discuss this in a humble mood of service for the pleasure of all of you and in line with the Guru Parampara. So, Krishna has many potencies and many energies, unlimited actually. The Shvetashvatar Upanishad says 6.8 in the verse 6.8 Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha. So Vividhaiva Shruyate, Parasya Shaktir. So many unlimited energies Krishna has. And one of the chief energies of Krishna is his pleasure potency. And this pleasure potency, as we all know, is also known as the Ladhini Shakti. So this pleasure potency is that which induces pleasure in Krishna. Right? And so being Krishna's own energy, this Ladhini Shakti or his pleasure potency is relishable to him. It's definitely supremely relishable to him. Yet, Krishna places this Ladhini Shakti, this pleasure potency in the hearts of his devotees, in the hearts of all those who want to serve him. And one might wonder, why does Krishna do it? Because it is anyway supremely pleasurable to him. Yet he places this Ladhini Shakti in the heart of all devotees. And the reason given is that this Ladhini Shakti, although it is pleasurable on its own, it becomes even more pleasurable to Krishna when it is placed in the hearts of his devotees and when it manifests as loving devotional service towards Krishna. So that becomes even more pleasurable. And Jiva Goswami, he explains this with an analogy of a flute and a flute player. Many of you must have heard it, but I'll still repeat it. So the flute player can blow air out of his mouth, and he can create many sounds like that. But and then that might be nice also, the sounds that are created by the flute player himself by blowing air out of his mouth. They are nice and they are pleasurable as well. But when the same air coming out of the mouth of the flute player, when it passes through the holes of the flute, that same air creates such amazing sounds that even the flute player is mesmerized with it. Right. So thus, like that, in a similar way, even though Krishna's own pleasure potency is unlimitedly relishable to him, but it becomes even more relishable when it manifests through his devotee service. So it may be the simplest of the sevas that we might be doing. We might be worshipping the deities in the altar, or we might be part of the cleanup crew at Bhakti Center after a festival. But we have to remember that Krishna is relishing our service to the extent that we do it with love and devotion. So when we all do our next seva, we can try to do it with this awareness. So this is a thing for me as well. But this Ladini Shakti, going back to the Ladini Shakti, the pleasure potency of the Lord, Srimati Radharani is the emblem, is the personification of that pleasure potency. And in Srimati Radharani, this mood of service to Krishna, love and service to Krishna, manifests in its fullness. And so that is the reason why Radharani is always desiring to unite with Krishna, and Krishna is also always desiring to unite with Radharani. And that desire become even more intense when she's separated from Krishna. In the purport, it says that Krishna wanted to show the world the intensity of the gopis' love, and that's why he played this pastime of being separated from them. So there are few just to show how intense the pain of separation that Radharani used to feel. It is said that she would cry out tears and tears of disappointment, sadness because of being separated from Krishna. And she would cry out so much that these tears would form a pool around her. It would literally form like a little pool around her. And because of this separation, she would at some point faint and collapse into that pool of tears. But because of the intense heat of separation that she was experiencing, that water would evaporate. So this is the kind of intense separation that she would experience. Forget about when Krishna went away from her. Even when Krishna was with her, there is a story that Radha and Krishna are sitting in Vrindavan at a particular place, and a bumblebee happens to come there. And this bumblebee, Krishna is disturbed by it. Krishna feels that this bumblebee is a nuisance, so he should be driven away. So he calls Madhumangal. He says, Madhumangal, please come here. Chase this bee away. Right? And in Sanskrit, one of the names of one of the words used for a bee is Madhu. Right? And so Madhumangal comes, and as instructed by Krishna, he chases this bee away, and he takes it far away, and then he comes back and reports to Krishna. Okay, Krishna, Madhu has gone away, and he will never return now. And now hearing this, Radharani starts crying incessantly out of separation, because Madhu also means Krishna. It is also a name of Krishna. And hearing this statement by Madhu Mangal that Madhu has gone and he'll never return, he'll never come back, Radharani is feeling that pain of separation. And she's crying, crying, crying. And Krishna is saying, but my dear Radharani, I'm sitting right here. Why are you crying? But no, Radharani kept crying just because of hearing that statement. And seeing her cry, Krishna also started crying. And in this way, they started crying, and then a lake formed out of that, a kund formed out of that, and that is the Prem Sarovar. That is there in Vrindavan even today, near Barsana. So that is the intensity of Radharani's love. That even by hearing the statement that, that Madhu has gone away, although Krishna is right there sitting next to her, she feels that kind of separation. So we can imagine the intensity of her separation when Krishna actually goes away. So Uddhava states in this verse, in the verse 27 actually, that the gopis have bestowed their mercy on him by showing him their love for Krishna, love in separation for Krishna. Virahena Mahabhaga. So the lectures that I heard on this verse, actually, the devotees, they stressed on that statement, Virahena Mahabhaga. So this viraha, or um, this mood of separation is, it's like a great, it's like a glory for Uddhava here. And it says in the purport that not only the mercy was showered on Uddhava, but on the whole world as well. And now here is the interesting point, right? It's interesting to note that the purport says that the gopis showed Uddhava and the whole world the joy of devotion, joy of love of God, right? But if you ask any gopis in that context, then they would hardly say that they are in joy. In fact, they would say that they are in the exact opposite state of joy, right? So they are in complete sadness and complete pain because of separation from Krishna. So this is one of the most esoteric conundrums actually in bhakti, and our fertile brains cannot make sense of it. It's very difficult to make. How can there be joy in separation, right? Not just separation, even in spiritual devotional service, even in service to Guru, for instance, we might be put into a lot of anxiety. I haven't served my Guru Maharaj personally, but I know, I have heard accounts of devotees who have served their Guru Maharajas personally, and oh my God, it's like total anxiety at every moment. They are running behind their Guru Maharaj. They have to make sure that everything is taken care of, and it's just too much anxiety. But there is a joy in that anxiety as well. There is a joy in the anxiety that we take for Krishna. So I'm sure Adipurush Prabhu is also taking so much anxiety to serve the instruction of Prabhupada. And in doing so, he might have faced a lot of anxiety, he might have faced a lot of opposition and hardships, but still he's continuing to do that. So there is some kind of joy even in that. So this is that conundrum, that how can there be joy in apparent anxiety, separation, pain, etc. So that is a spiritual concept that we can't comprehend. And that is why in the purport of verse 29, it says, in truth, the gopis are the most exalted, liberated souls, and their pastimes with Krishna must be understood with the help of authorized acharyas. So, this is very important because if we try to apply our own intellect here, then it becomes, if we applying the intellect is not really the issue actually, but when we put our intellect on a pedestal and not subordinate it under the instructions of our guru, under the teachings of our guru, the sadhu and the shastra, then that is when it becomes troublesome. So we have to understand these concepts, which are really, really esoteric, with the help of authorized acharyas. And with time, with practice, the intricacies of these things will be revealed to us slowly. And that is what Krishna also says. When Krishna wrote the whole Gita, there are scholars studying the whole Gita, trying to understand what is the essence of Gita. One scholar comes and says, this is the essence of Gita, Karma Yoga. Another scholar comes and says, this is the essence of, Jnana Yoga. But then what is really the essence, right? And that Krishna says in the Gita that, look, he said the whole Gita, but within the Gita, he says that if you really want to understand spiritual life, go to a guru. तद्विधि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः 4.34 Bhagavad Gita. So here Krishna is also alluding to the fact that you have to approach a guru in the Guru Parampara in order to understand this. So we can apply logic in spiritual life, but ultimately we have to remember that bhakti is beyond logic. So again, another conundrum. So anyway, so it is said that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also exhibited similar symptoms at Gambhira, the symptoms that Radharani is exhibiting in separation from Krishna. And it is said that especially like when Uddhava visited Vrindavan, that was like the crescendo of Radharani's emotions. And those emotions were exhibited by Lord Chaitanya when he was in Jagannath Puri in Gambhira. So he would see the ocean and then he would feel that this is the Yamuna River. He would see a mound of sand. I think it's near Tota Gopinath temple. That mound of sand is still there. he would see that and feel that that's Govardhan. And so he would exhibit such moments of ecstasy in the later part of his life, of his pastimes. So and do you know who was Uddhava in Chaitanya Leela? Any guesses? Any guesses who was Uddhava in Chaitanya Leela? So Chaitanya Leela, so we know that all the devotees who appeared in Krishna Leela, they also appeared in Chaitanya Leela. So anyway, the Uddhava in Chaitanya Leela is Paramananda Puri. So Paramananda Puri happens to be the god uncle of Lord Chaitanya. So he was a disciple of Ishwara Puri. Sorry, he was a god brother of Ishwara Puri, disciple of Madhavendra Puri. So Lord Chaitanya um, respected him as a god uncle, and like that. And there are some nice pastimes about Paramanand Puri as well. I'll just mention one. So Paramanand Puri, who is Uddhava, he was so eager to meet Lord Chaitanya. So when Lord Chaitanya went to South India, he was out for 2 years, and devotees all felt separation from him. And when he came back to Jagannath Puri, he sent Krishna Das to Navadvip and told him to inform everyone that I'm back. So, and as soon as Krishna Das went, he told everyone, and then immediately Advaita Acharya, Shivanand Sen, and a few other devotees, they started planning a visit to Puri. But Paramanand Puri, he couldn't hold himself. He just started for Puri immediately once he heard that. So there is a nice story about the well of Paramanand Puri as well. I'll not go into that right now, but yeah. So Uddhava and Krishna are eternal associates, and that is very beautiful, the way they exchange love with each other. Now, the way Uddhava responds to the by seeing these Vrajavasis, the gopis, etc., the way Uddhava responds is actually an example for us. And when I was thinking of the lessons that we can draw out of this verse, I heard Maharaj's class and a little things here and there, and that's what I found that. So Uddhava was a constant companion of Krishna, personal associate. He used to eat with Krishna. He used to counsel Krishna on important matters. He would rest with Krishna. He would laugh with Krishna, make jokes with Krishna. So he was a constant companion. Yet he says that he doesn't have any devotion. So that is really important to note here. So what should be our attitude when we see someone doing more than us in bhakti? When we see someone really drowned in bhakti and really doing extraordinary things in the service of Guru and Krishna, what should be our attitude? So a true devotee doesn't want to imitate them, but he or she wants to follow in their footsteps. So if you see, I think it comes later that when Uddhava says that I want to become a grass in Vrindavan, he didn't ask to be a gopi. He didn't ask to be a gopi or any, animal or any. He thought that that state is actually very exalted for him. So he just wanted to follow in the footsteps. He just wanted to become that grass, Gulmalata in Vrindavan, so that Vrajavasis would step on him. So this is, of course, in Tulsi Aarti, we do pray to Tulsi Maharani to make us dasi. Seva adhikar diye koro nija dasi. We also pray that we want eternal residence in Vrindavan, right? Mora ebi eya bilas kunje dihyovas. So we do pray that, but that prayer is not in terms of trying to imitate the gopis or imitate the manjaris. That prayer is more to follow in the footsteps of the gopis and the manjaris. So like that, this is a very nice lesson for us. So what do we do when we see someone being more blessed than ourselves, someone being more recognized than ourselves, someone being more empowered than ourselves, or someone being able to do greater things than ourselves? Now, if I'm materially affected, then I will become envious. But if I'm spiritually blessed, then I wouldn't become envious. I would want to serve such people. I would want to serve such devotees, and I would want their blessings and follow. I would want to follow in their footsteps. So, uh, and this quality is seen as great by Krishna. Actually, Krishna doesn't see how many shlokas we have memorized, how many, how easily we can quote purports, or how easily we can quote shlokas, or how eloquently we speak. Krishna does see that if we are doing it with love and devotion, but On a deeper level, Krishna doesn't see these externalities. Krishna sees how much love we have developed for him, how much love we have developed for his devotees. Mad bhakta pujabhyadika, Krishna says in the Bhagavatam 11th canto. So, so it's this is the thing that Krishna feels, that is great, that the greatness of a devotee. And yeah, and Uddhava knew that if he asked for the dust of the devotees in Vrindavan, then they wouldn't do it, because uh, he knew Brajavasis are genuinely humble, and he being a Kshatriya, they would have shied away. So that's why he wanted to become a grass in Vrindavan. So when I contemplated on this, I realized that when our superiors do something great, it's easy to be respectful, it's easy to be humbled by that. The real challenge comes, the mind poses a real challenge when our peers do something great, or our juniors do something great, right? And they get recognized for it. That's when the mind could revolt most. Uh, many devotees are beyond such trivialities, but sometimes the mind could revolt. Why not me? I have done the same amount of seva. I have done the same amount of contribution in this project. So why am I not getting the recognition that I deserve? Is what the mind will revolt. It will say, right? And but that is not a very healthy consciousness, healthy attitude in bhakti. Radhanath Swami, my Guru Maharaj, he says that when we see, when we feel happy and joyful seeing another devotee advance in bhakti, often the former, like the devotee who is happy seeing other devotees happy, the former gets more mercy than the latter. So that is very it's that's the beauty of bhakti. And if you think of it, we we are practicing bhakti. We felt the shelter in bhakti only because there was some merciful soul. It could be our Pathapradarshak Guru, it could be our mentor or anyone who wholeheartedly encouraged us. And when they saw that we are taking steps towards Krishna, we are progressing towards Krishna, they did not hold themselves back. They wholeheartedly gave themselves to us. And that is what touched our hearts. And that is what made us practice bhakti. That is what made us take up this process. So actually, it's this kind of heart-touching attitude that pleases Krishna, and not the externalities actually. So anyway, yeah, it is tough to develop that mindset sometimes, that we get into that competitive spirit. I too deserve the same appreciation. What do I, what have I done to not deserve it, and things like that. So the mind revolts like that. So we have to remember that although we might not be in the limelight as far as the world around us goes, but Krishna is watching us. He's observing us to see how we react. And by remembering that, we can try to feel genuine joy and genuine happiness when we see others' bhakti, others' devotional service, and feel inspired by that. And of course, what do we do if we don't feel? We are trying. No, I really want to feel happiness, but I'm not feeling. So we can at least begin by remembering that this devotee who is practicing bhakti, this devotee has given up so many things to be doing what he or she is doing. So many sacrifices externally, so many things they gave up, and so many preconceived notions that they might have had, they gave those up. And internally, how much resistance they faced and how much they overcame that resistance, we would never know, because it's all internal. So but at least we can begin to think like that. We can begin to think that, look, this devotee has sacrificed so much, this devotee has done so much in Krishna's service, and that way we can start to see good in others. Now envy is something that uh, we cannot necessarily overcome on our own. Any anartha for that matter, it's like a huge mountain, and for us infinitesimal jivas to overcome anarthas is not so easy. It's impossible actually sometimes, but for Krishna it's a matter of a moment's thing. So but then Krishna can do it. Krishna can completely decimate our anarthas, and he can reinstate us in our original position as his servant. But then what is needed for that? What is needed for that? So question to you all: what is needed if we want Krishna to destroy our anarthas? we can definitely not destroy our anarthas. Yes, Mataji. Damodar Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Jagannath Gopal Prabhu. I feel like if the answer is related to what we were talking about yesterday in Leela's class, we went into the idea of surrender and how that can be like a difficult word at times because of the baggage that comes with it. But finally, the idea that surrender, I forget who said yesterday that surrender is not a gun to your back, but a child who can't do it themselves, and they're surrendering to the help of a parent, and it's something through love. I think it was actually Jamuna Jaya Prabhu that said it. So I feel like it's that surrender and that trust and that love that will help us do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. The surrender, the desire is yes, mercy is also, but what attracts mercy, right, Karthik Prabhu? That it's the desire, it's the surrender to desire, it's the surrender, it's the desire to do what is right is what attracts. You know, so it's like we say, right, in bhakti that if you don't feel enthusiastic, then act enthusiastic. You know, some people say, hey, you're telling us to fake it till we make it. No, that's not the point here. The point is not to fake it till we make it, but the point is to, so what, okay, someone has a tendency to criticize. Let's say I have a tendency to criticize others, and I heard this statement, uh, that if you don't feel enthusiastic, if you don't feel appreciative of others, then act as if you're appreciative of others. Now, if I say, no, I don't want to act because that's like fake it till make it, then what do I do? Do I keep criticizing? No, I try to consciously hold myself from criticizing. So that's the point. When it is said that, when Prabhupada said that if you don't feel enthusiastic, act enthusiastic, he meant that it's not in the sense of fake it till you make it, but it's in the sense that showing Krishna the desire to really progress, to really do something nice for Krishna. So that desire is what will please Krishna. And once he sees that genuine desire in us, he can take it. He can remove everything. So that story of that sparrow whose eggs got stolen by who stole, the ocean stole her eggs, but then she could not and she went and confronted the ocean that, hey, give my eggs back. But the ocean said, get lost, what can you do? But then what did she do? She started, with her own whatever ability she had. She started taking that water, and she said, I'll dry you up, you ocean, I'll dry you up, you don't know. Then she started taking little by little, and then the ocean started laughing at her. He's like, what is she doing? She doesn't even understand what she's doing. But seeing her effort, seeing her take those little drops of water and trying to dry up the ocean, Garuda became pleased with her, and when he came, then the ocean completely surrendered, and he gave her eggs back to the sparrow. So that is what we also need to do. So Radhanath Maharaj said something really interesting. He said, we have heard this statement often that when you start practicing bhakti, this material world becomes as small as a calf's hoof print, and we can cross over it, right? But Maharaj said we still have to cross over it. We still have to take that step. It's not that it becomes small like a calf's hoof print and then we just give up. No, we still have to take that step. And that is the effort. That is the desire. That is the surrender that we have to show. And then Krishna will intervene and he'll do his magic. So, yeah, of course, I spoke very lofty things today. So, I hope and pray that I can also follow them. So, I seek your blessings for that. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu. You have our blessings. Thank you for not being intimidated to speak on those subjects. It's important. With humility, with the backup of other devotees, it can be done, like you did today. Bruce Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, I'm sorry for the delay. It speaks about having the help of acharyas to understand what we're discussing. And in the purport towards the end, you have the ultimate acharya trying to preach to the gopis and connect them with yoga, and yet this is still not enough for them, and it's inadequate. This part I can understand. What I don't understand, well, no, I can't understand that, but who have achieved spontaneous, unalloyed love for Sri Krishna. My question is, we learn that the gopis are always in thought of Krishna. They're always longing for this love of Krishna. They're always missing him. They're always thinking of him. So how does one find this to be a spontaneous act when you get the definition of spontaneity or spontaneous, and it's without premeditation or without external stimulus? So both of those contradict the definition of spontaneous, because he's there offering it to them through his messenger. And then the other thing, which is more on a humor side, and possibly I shouldn't say in public, but has there ever been a time where Krishna shows like, hey ho, you guys here are overbearing, this love that you have for me, can you try and take it in how should I say, like in stages, or it's always expressed as always overwhelming, it's always so great, so much, which I can't understand. That's why I'm asking the question. But in some cases we call that stalking in modern world, where it is literally too much. So again, perhaps that's a very ignorant question. I please do not hope to offend with that. But again, it just goes to, this is why we need acharyas describing this, and this is why I'm asking you this question. Because sometimes, again, in our world, this kind of love overwhelms us.
Beautiful, beautiful question and beautiful reflections, Prabhu. So yeah, I mean, as far as you mentioned the point about spontaneity, right? So the spontaneity, the way I understand it is, there is so when the pure devotees, like the gopis, they think of Krishna. So one thing is, there is spontaneity and there is conscious effort, right? There is conscious effort. So it's not necessary that they contradict each other. And the reason I say that is, yes, the gopis do consciously think about Krishna, but even then, it is in some way spontaneous. Actually, it is spontaneous in many ways, in all ways, because they don't put effort for it. It's not that uh, okay, they saw some stimulus and now they have a choice between choosing whether to think of Krishna in this situation or whether to think of something else in this situation. It's not that it's like that for them. They have to make that conscious. They're beyond all anarthas. They are beyond all selfish desires. So they by default, what comes to them is Krishna. Even the song of the bee, when the bee comes, so the bee is humming like zzz. Even in that humming, the gopis are, seeing, hearing Krishna, like Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. When there is a joke that when devotees chant in the morning, if you sit next to them, it's like a bee humming, like Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, like that. So even in that humming of the bee, they see Krishna, and when they see Krishna, they then consciously offer their love to Krishna. So yeah, that is my understanding of spontaneous. Now, okay, now this is the gopis and the pure devotees, right? Now, what about the sadhakas? Right? So Jiva Goswami says, in case of raganuga bhakti, or in case of spontaneous devotion, the love or that rasa is what enhances their bhakti, right? But in case of a sadhaka, what is that which enhances our bhakti? And Jiva Goswami mentioned it's buddhi, or it's intelligence, or the power of discrimination. So when we are sadhakas, we discriminate, and then when we reach that level of raganuga bhakti, then that discrimination comes automatically. That discrimination, we don't have to consciously discriminate. So yeah, that's how I understand it. I don't know if I made sense. And as far as Krishna letting someone know that you should take your devotion down a notch. He wouldn't do it if the devotion is genuine. But if the devotion is not genuine, then Krishna will employ his energies to do that. Krishna will somehow make a situation in which the devotee gets purified thoroughly. I have been in such situations where thoroughly pure. I'm like, once I wrote a poem and I sent it to one newsletter in back in Pune, and where I got cultivated in bhakti, and then I got a feedback from the temple president that, look, what you've written is wrong here. Okay, and so what I'd written is the path of piety to the world they show. So the they here means a group of devotees. And then he got back saying that, look, we don't teach the path of piety, right? We don't teach the path of piety. We are beyond piety, right? What Prabhupada has given us is beyond piety. And then I was like, I took that as I was like, what? He's saying this to me? I wrote such a nice poem, and this is the feedback I get. For a moment, I felt like that. And then later on, I understood that no, I should not take it like that. This is Krishna's way of purifying me. And then I changed it, the path of perfection to the world they show. So like that, instead of piety, I said perfection. So like that, if Krishna wants us to take it down a notch, and he wouldn't make us take down a notch our genuine devotion. Only when our devotion is misdirected will he do that. And usually he doesn't do that directly. He might do it directly also, but often he employs his energies. He creates situation in ways that uh, we can get purified and take it down a notch. So yeah, actually we have to take it down a notch in the sense that we have to become humble. So we have to feel down in that sense. And only then we'll be able to experience. So again, a conundrum, right? When we feel humble is when we feel most blissful. It's not that these two are, it's the more we love Krishna, the humbler we become. And the humbler we are, the better we'll be able to love Krishna. So like that.
Thank you so much. Clearly, it shows my question how unpurified I am.
Oh,
Hare
no.
Krishna. Thank you.
It's okay, Bruce Prabhu. Don't forget, you're beyond piety. Right. Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, can you elaborate on that pastime where Lord Chaitanya told Rupa and Sanatana Goswami not to move to Vrindavan, not to drop things behind, and to slow down and just stay there and do their duty? How does that apply to Bruce Prabhu's question?
Yes, that's actually very pertinent. Yeah. Glad you brought that up. So I think he says that to Rupa and Sanatan as well as to Raghunath Das Goswami. So when Rupa and Sanatan, they are writing letters over letters to Mahaprabhu saying that we want to meet you, we want to meet you, and then Mahaprabhu doesn't reply for a long time, and then finally he just replies with a small letter. He just says that just like a lady, a married woman thinks of her paramour every moment, but continues doing her duties, household duties. Similarly, you should continue doing your duties, and you should think of me always. And when the time comes, you'll be able to give it up. And similarly, Raghunath Das Goswami was also very enthusiastic. And again, not that he was not genuine. He was genuine. He wanted to surrender everything and come and serve Lord Chaitanya. But then Lord Chaitanya, to him also, he said, "No, don't act like a madman," he said. Don't act like a madman. Chill out a little. You have a duty towards your parents. So of course he didn't say chill out a little, sorry about that, but he said you have a duty towards your parents, so go back and serve them selflessly, nicely, and then when the time is right, you will come. So yeah, but thank you for bringing that up. I couldn't think of that, bro.
Thank you, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu. Okay, any questions, reflections, angles of visions, voice crack? Adipurusha Prabhu has a voice crack. Oh, it's darshan time. All right. Adipurusha Prabhu, turn on your camera, please. Adipurusha Prabhu, the camera is off. Please turn on the camera. Adipurusha Prabhu, please. Turn on the camera, Adipurusha Prabhu. Oh, there you go. Okay, thank you. I thought Krishna was asking us to slow down in our bhakti. Thank you, Adipurusha Prabhu. Thank you, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu. Any final instructions for us? You're muted. You're muted.
Oh, no. Who am I to instruct?
Jai, Hare Krishna. Thank you. So many wonderful things you said. I forgot them all already, but I'll rewatch. No, seriously, wonderful class. Bruce Prabhu, keep paying your bills, and when the time is right, you can surrender to Krishna fully. Even though you may be beyond piety.
It's a hard process. I think we have similar background. It comes from some dark places, and a lot of work needs to be done.
Yeah, a lot of work, but we are in this together with the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis and Vaishnavets and animals and Prashadam and Kirtan, and Prabhupada is there. We have a fighting chance. By Srila
Thank you for
Prabhupada.
the encouragement.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Have a wonderful day, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu. Wonderful, wonderful class. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Good day, devotees.